Who am I looking at next? Valakir's next. All right. Valakir, how you doing, brother?
Hey, how you doing?
Not bad at all.
So I'll make this quick. I know you got a long day, and I know how it can be.
Long day is a bit of an overstatement. I spent literally the whole afternoon watching YouTube videos, and now I'm doing this. So it's all fun and games, you know? But yeah, what's your question, bro?
So I've been watching you for a very long time. You were still just doing Warlock guides.
Oh my God, that's years ago, dude. Jesus, welcome.
Yeah, and I started playing around Mop, right before Mop and the Kata. So
yeah,
Twilight. At what point in WoW's lore truly give you the swap over to start doing the lore before you started making videos?
All right, so I have always cared about the story of World of Warcraft, or should I say the story of Warcraft. You know, most kids grow up playing first-person shooter games or Mario or shit like that. I grew up playing RPGs. One of the first, like, true games that I genuinely got hooked on was Baldur's Gate 1, and then Baldur's Gate 2, Diablo 1. I still actually believe that Diablo 1 is a hell of a lot better than Diablo 2, just because I think the Diablo 1 story is a hell of a lot better than Diablo 2 story. Even though Diablo 2 story is still good, I would prefer a remake of Diablo 1, not a remake of Diablo 2, because Diablo 1 was actually still meant to be a single-player experience, you know, from a story perspective. So I've always been more engaged with story than anything else. The reason I didn't start my channel as a story creator was because at the time, I sort of thought Noble had pretty much covered everything that there was to cover. Story-wise, like, if I'm going to come out and start making YouTube videos about the lore in World of Warcraft, I'm basically just going to be rehashing and retelling everything that Noble has already told, you know, and everything that Noble has already done. So I kind of thought that that's not really a niche that I want to go into. But I've always been a fairly good Warlock. I would say I've always been among the better Warlocks in the world. So it kind of made sense to me to go that direction instead and start making guides as a Warlock. Mainly because I'll be honest with you, a lot of it was business-wise. There were a lot of guides out for sort of like top-end players and a lot of guides for really sort of, shall we say, beginners. But there weren't really any guides out there for people who isn't completely brain dead, but still don't quite understand what the class is about. So that's where, you know, all of my guides were always basic Warlock guide, patch number, whatever. And then intermediate Warlock guide, patch number, whatever. And then advanced Warlock guide, patch number, whatever. So I sort of saw an opportunity to make a guide that covers the basics for anyone that wants to get into it, then covers the more intermediate things for people who want to do heroic raiding, a little bit of mythic raiding, and then cover the advanced things. So in those guides, I would talk about how to optimize your DPS whilst moving, and how to really get the most out of your class, but then also trying to cover things to just make it easy for people, you know? So what is the cookie cutter build, but then also realizing that that cookie cutter build can be ridiculously difficult to play, and is there maybe builds that doesn't do quite as well, but will actually do better if you're not as skilled. So I sort of like the intricacy that you can achieve through guide making. I then got bored, I'll be honest with you. I got really bored of the class guides because in every single patch, you know, the class guides would get crazy views. Like, we'd go 20, 30, 40,000 views for every class guide. But it's basically the same thing, just said in a different way. And I started to feel a little bit like an imposter because I'm effectively just making videos to eat, you know, to make money. I'm not really saying anything new outside of a new guide for a new expansion. I'm not really saying anything new. And then I thought, well, maybe I can start incorporating other classes into, so I can make guides for other classes as well. My problem there was that unless I'm going to be playing this class at mythic level, I don't think I have the right to make a guide on that class. You know, you have to be able to play the class at a very high level if you're going to make guides about it, if you want to be honest. You can be dishonest, and there's plenty of YouTubers that do that, but for me, I didn't feel right doing that. So I ultimately said, I think it was Pyromancer. So at the time, me and Pyro were very close. We were very good friends. I still consider Pyro. I consider Pyro still a very good friend, even though I don't think Pyro hangs out with many people from the community anymore. But we're very good friends. And Pyro made a video about lore. And sort of, for the first time ever, it wasn't a video about rehashing the lore, but rather discussing what might happen, right? So what might be the future? Really the birth of, in many ways, speculation. I don't know if there was ever speculators before Pyromancer. There were people who would dive into slight speculations every once in a while, but Pyromancer was really the first, you know.
Sauron's kind of, but not, that was only like a little bit, you know.
Yeah, most people would do sort of a little bit of a rehash of the history and then maybe dabble slightly in some speculation. Pyromancer was the first guy to truly just speculate on what the story could be. And I fell in love with it. Watching his first ever video, I was like, Jesus, this is so fucking good. And it sparked a lot of thoughts in my own mind about things that I don't agree with him on, that I actually think could go a different direction entirely. So I decided to make a video purely as a retort to Pyromancer's video. So I just genuinely, all the thoughts that I had in my head of Pyromancer covering the lore and sort of saying this could be the future, and I sort of going, no, but clearly that would be the future. I don't think what you're saying is going to be real. I thought I'd make a video and sort of give a different opinion on it. I fell so much in love with making that video that I made another one, and then another one, and then another one. And, you know, slowly the content started to become its own thing, where I no longer had time for the guides because I was so involved in making the lore content. And then, of course, late last year, with Blizzard's woes and myself sort of losing a lot of interest in the World of Warcraft story in general, I think... So I kind of made a decision end of last year to move away from World of Warcraft entirely, which is why nowadays whenever you see me cover World of Warcraft, it's usually because someone in my stream asked a question about World of Warcraft, and then obviously I'll cover it, or when something huge happens and people go, oh my god, can you watch the cinematic? And then I'll watch the cinematic and I'll do a video on it. The videos that I sit down to actually make, so when I go and I write a script, are almost all Final Fantasy related. Very few of it has anything to do with World of Warcraft. So my content, the content that I physically make, is Final Fantasy. It's not WoW. The WoW content comes from viewers asking things and sort of wanting to know things. But that's sort of the evolution that I think I've gone through. Yeah, I've always been story first. Every game that I play, if it like, it can be shite. Right? It can be absolute dog shit gameplay and dog shit graphics. If the story is good, you've got me. Like, I'll play it.
Oh man, like, have you gone down the Chrono Cross or the Dot Hack series or any of those other games?
No.
Oh yeah. It depends how far down the rabbit hole you want to go, but there's a lot of games from PS2 era that you can just dig into. The problem is a lot of them aren't on the newer platforms, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, luckily GOG is moving back to good old games, so hopefully they'll bring some of those games back, you know, so we can play it again. But, you know, Metal Gear Solid is something that I want to play again. I just recently reinstalled Dragon Age Inquisition. I want to finally finish that fucking game because I've yet to finish it, mainly because it didn't live up to the Origin promise, you know, and sort of, yeah, I need to finish it because apparently that has an incredible story as well. And then I have to at some point dive into, Asian games. Everyone in my channel keeps fucking telling me to play some of the Asian JRPGs and stuff like that. And so far, I've held strong. You know, I've resisted the peer pressure, but I'm probably gonna have to at some point.
Just pick and choose the ones you think. Like honestly, I would just find a little bit. You want to go blind, or you want to be like have a little bit of background so you can kind of be better at choosing what you're looking.
I mean, we'll see. I've never been a huge fan of the art style of JRPGs. It's actually one of the things that took me the longest to get used to in FF14 was the sort of combat animations for FF. I don't like the over-the-top sort of anime-esque kind of combat stuff.
Yeah.
I prefer the more Western watered-down stuff. But
I got you.
I'm open to giving, like, I have to. One of my mods almost 2 years ago asked me to play Final Fantasy VII, so I'm probably gonna have to play that at some point.
There's the remake too.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to play the remake or if I'm supposed to play the original. We'll have to fucking see, I guess. But I'm open to giving everything a go, at least once.
Oh.
And then we'll see.
The only other thing, are you ever gonna do a Black Mage guide?
No, because I don't know shit about the Black Mage. I play my Black Mage at a very low entry level, mostly running around not being sure why the fuck I've even cast ley lines, because I'm never in it. Basically, ley lines should serve as a marker for everyone in my party not to stand there, because that is where the boss will throw every single one of its fucking abilities without fail. As soon as I cast it as well. I don't know if it's a timing thing or if I'm just very unlucky, but as soon as my ley lines go down, I have to stop moving. So I should probably not be the one to make a guide on how to play Black Mage, unless of course it is how to avoid being hit by anything the boss throws at you, in which case put down the ley lines and just stay away from them. You won't get hit by shit because everything goes on the fucking ley line. That I could do. So a guide how to stay alive as a Black Mage, I could probably pull off. But
ley line battle marker out.
Outside of that, I probably wouldn't make a guide for Black Mage. Like maybe I'll do that as a sort of comedy guide. I might do a bit of a comedic take on guide making. You know, how to play a Black Mage, and then do some comedy shit with it. I could probably pull that off, but I don't think I'll ever get back into... I won't ever get back into the professional guide making thing. It's a lot of work to do.
I love your lore content and anything else you do, so...
I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
something like a crap guide, definitely, but even more outrageous.
Yes, please.
Because the crap guides are still helpful, just a little bit outrageous. I want to make a crap guide that is just completely fucking wrong. Like, it is not the way to play the Black Mage whatsoever. Right? You should not play it this way, but you can, but you shouldn't. That's what I want to do.
Please do this, please.
I'll see what I can come up with. I'll cook up a couple of ideas and then I'll try and put it out there. Anyways, Valakir, thank you for the question. Really appreciate it. Please take care of yourself, bro, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.